Okay, welcome to the first recording since we transitioned to hybrid. So I must say it is very nice to be back with you in this space here in the comfort of my home where it is so very warm. So this is worksheet 34. This is the worksheet that we worked on in class a little bit. So a lot of this is going to be review of the things that we talked about, but I just wanted to make sure that we had some time to go over each sentence individually. So we've got the sentences containing participles. I have bolded the participles for you. That's not a guarantee in the future, but since this is our first time, I wanted to make sure we didn't miss them. As always with sentences, we are told to label in addition to translating, so keep that in mind. When I say label, just simple grammatical information. So for instance, discipuli, right, is nominative, happens to be nominative plural. Nominative is good enough for me. The participle scribentes is nominative. You can identify it as a PAP, present active participle, if you want. You could just say nominative too, that's fine. Magna cum cura, that's a big ablative phrase. And then our verb here at the end, third plural, imperfect active, laboraban. So just, hey, Kimberly, just getting some of that grammatical information down. So when we're going to translate our sentence, remember a participle is just an adjective. It just adds a little extra something to describe one of the nouns in the sentence. So the discipuli, the students, laborabant, were working, magna cum cura, with great care. That's a complete sentence. We'd be fine just saying that. Scribentes is describing, in this case, the students. It is a present active participle because the NT, so it's ing. So you could translate this in a couple different ways. You could say the writing students were working with great care. That's one acceptable translation. You could also say the students writing were working with great care. You could say the students who were writing were working with great care. Remember, this thing here, right? All you're doing, that's right, all you're doing is describing the students, right? So instead of saying the tall students were working with great care, the small students were working with great care, the students who were writing were working with great care. So again, writing students, students writing, students who are writing, all acceptable. I would say in this sentence, I kind of like the who were writing. I don't know. It's speaking to me right now, so I'm going to go with that one. I think I can probably zoom a little bit. We got Kimberly. We got Karina. Let's go. Number 2 here. So mater is my subject in the nominative case. Duos filios in the accusative. And so is pugnantes. So if you liked all those C's in ablative, you are going to love, all those L's in ablative, you're going to love these C's in accusative. That's a big old My verb here is weedit, third singular, that's perfect tense. Et ad eos, preposition, clamavit, third singular, perfect as well. So we have a compound sentence here because we've got the et, so we'll take it one piece at a time. Mater, weedit, right? So there's your subject and your verb. The mother saw. The mother saw. Direct object, duos filios. She saw her 2 sons. And those 2 sons are described as pugnantes. So that's another ing participle. Her 2 sons fighting, or her 2 fighting sons. I kind of like her 2 sons fighting. I think the idea is she saw them fighting, right? That was what kind of, prompted the next part of the sentence. So the mother saw her 2 sons fighting, and clamavit, shouted, areos, shouted at them, we would probably say in English. You could translate it, shouted towards them, shouted to them. But I think that at them is probably good in English for shouting. I think most classes we got through those first 2 together. Number 3, as always, when you're translating sentences, make sure you're thinking about the endings, right? Because phelem, even though it's the first word in the sentence, it is in the accusative case. So it's definitely not our subject. Inuia. Now we have this participle relictam, which is definitely accusative. It is a perfect passive participle because it's from relinquo. It's the fourth principal part, relictus. So that means to abandon or to leave. And then invenimus, first plural, perfect tense. Rookie mistake would be to read this sentence and start your translation with something about a cat, right? Because it's the first word. I get that, sometimes you want to do that. But we are the subject. And we found a cat, a phelem, relictam invia. We found a cat that had been abandoned in the street. Now you could say we found a cat abandoned in the street. You could even say we found an abandoned cat. All of those translations would be perfectly fine. An abandoned cat, a cat abandoned, a cat that had been abandoned. As long as you've got that ed in there, because we're describing that cat as an abandoned cat, a left cat, a cat that was left somewhere. So make sure that you keep that ed intact. We have 5 people watching? This is a record for a while for my actual class videos. Welcome, welcome. I didn't think anybody would be that bored, but I stand corrected. Pater is in the nominative, libros in the accusative case, and then deponens, that is the nominative for the present active participle. That's your ens form. Ab amicis, and then my verb here is actually vocatus est, third singular. This one is perfect passive. All right, it's one of those 2-word verb forms, vocatus est. Oh, well, there you go, Karina. That's why I'm here. So this one is going to require a little bit of finesse because literally it says the father putting away his books. So that's not a bad start. The father putting away his books, vocatus est, we go to our verb next, was called by his friends. Now, that's an okay English translation. It seems a little like it's missing something. So we could say the father who was putting away his books. Or we could add in an extra word, a really special word in this situation. We could say while. And maybe put a couple commas in here to really kind of break it up a little bit. The father, while putting away his books, was called by his friends. So when you have one of those INGs, sometimes while is going to make it sound a little bit better. And you could even, we're going crazy, you could put this part first and say, while putting away his books, the father was called by his friends. That would be an acceptable translation as well. So like I said in class, we're really getting to that point where the sort of basic translation, where you just do it ING and leave it there, it's fine. The father putting away his books. I probably wouldn't say the putting away his books father. That sounds a little weird. But as we practice these more and more, you can certainly spread your wings a little bit. Number 5, the frater, so he's my subject. Militis from miles is in the genitive case. So is interfecti, right? Interfecti in form, if you look at the ending, it could be nominative plural, but we've already got a nominative and he's very singular. So we can't really have a nominative plural adjective here. Epistulam in the accusative, tristem in the accusative, and then our verb at the end here, third singular perfect, recapit, received. So the crux of the sentence here, the overall structure, is that the brother received a letter. Right? That's the main sentence. It happens to be a sad letter. That's what this adjective is doing, describing the letter. These two genitives are going with the frater. So it's the brother of the soldier, but he's described with this perfect passive, interfecti. The brother of the killed soldier, or the brother of the soldier who had been killed. Killed soldier, brother who had been, soldier who had been killed, either one. The brother of the soldier who had been killed received a sad letter. I'm trying to think, like, the killed soldier's brother. I guess that would work too in English. The killed soldier. As long as it's the soldier described as killed, that works too. 7 people? What is happening? Is it just that I'm doing this later? I don't know. This is the future, people. Oh my goodness, that's awesome. Well, welcome. If you care at all about Latin grammar, I might be the one stream on Twitch. Yeah, good to have you. You never know. I'm into linguistics myself. Mainly, I just like languages. I've studied a little bit of like linguistical stuff, the consonant changes and all of that, but at the end of the day, I just like. And don't forget about the Rocket League, Karina. If we're selling the stream right now, just a teacher trying to figure out how to teach in pandemic world. All right, hey Karina, there's Nero. There's our Cafe Nero. Nero's the subject. He is in the nominative case. Urbem in the accusative. Ardentem in the accusative. And then vidit, third singular, perfect. And then we got another little mini sentence. Kitharam kekinit, third singular, perfect. So a little history lesson on this guy, Nero. We call him Nero in English. Not a great guy, not a great emperor. Started out okay, but very quickly his time in charge was marked by a lot of sort of nasty stuff. And probably the most famous, if you've seen a GIF of this or seen a reference to it, Nero vidit, so Nero saw the urbem ardentem. So ardentem is the present active participle, that's your ing, describing the city. Urbem's the city. So he saw the city. Ardeo means to be burning, to be on fire. So he saw the city burning. You could say he saw the burning city. He saw the city burning. He saw the city which was on fire. I notice I do this a lot. I don't know why I do this. Do I do this in person? I don't know. Do I throw my hands up? Who knows? We're loose today, people. Nero saw the city burning and kekinit, kano means to sing, but when you sing an instrument, it really means play an instrument. So he saw the city burning and played the fiddle, essentially. He played the kithara. This word, by the way, linguistics. Let's go. Let's do some linguistics. That's your word, guitar. Kitara, eventually became guitarra, became guitar. So thank you for coming to my linguistics podcast. And the idea of like watching, sometimes it said like Rome burned, what is it? Nero fiddled while Rome burned, I think is the sort of shorthand. No spoilers for history lessons in the future, but essentially he needed to clear out a space for a new house. So he allowed a large portion of the city to burn. And then he built himself a big golden house. And in the backyard, he built himself a big pool. And after he died, his house was taken down. And the pool that he dug out, they built the Colosseum on top of it. So the Colosseum used to be Nero's old backyard. All right, a couple more sentences and then we'll burn through some of these noun adjective things pretty quickly here. So, libros, in the accusative case, right? Again, first word, don't be fooled. A Julio Caesara scriptos, right? Libros, scriptos, those words are going together. And then our verb here is legatus, second plural. That is actually future tense. Because of the long E, it's lego, legere. So with the E in the middle there, that is future, because we don't use bogey boo for this kind of verb. So legatus, y'all will lego, y'all will read the libros, the books, scriptos, no scriptos, got my Italian in there. Libros scriptos are written books, books that were written. So y'all will read the books written by Julius Caesar. Y'all will read the books that had been written by Julius Caesar, that were written by Julius Caesar, that have been written by Julius Caesar. Those are all fine translations too, as long as you're describing the books as having been written by Julius Caesar. Then you're good to go. And then finally, sunt. At the beginning of a sentence, we got third plural present. This is how the Romans would say, like, there are. Right? They usually would put sunt at the beginning. There are multi fabulae de, which is a preposition, takes the ablative, de mortuis ambulantibus. So there are multifabulae. There are many stories. When you have the preposition de, yes, it can mean down from, right? If you are traveling down from the top of the mountain, by all means, use the preposition de. But if you're talking about stories or words or a speech, and you get the word de, go with the translation about, right? If it's a book about someone, it's a play about something, it's a speech about someone. Whenever you're dealing with communication, words, books, things like that, I would default to the about translation for de. There are many stories about the mortuis, about the dead, but these are not any old dead. These are mortui ambulantibus. So ambulantibus, because it has the nt, that's your ing. Ambulare means to walk. So the mortuis ambulantibus, there are many stories about the walking dead, better known as zombies. Okay. I think that's probably the best translation there. There are many stories about the dead who are walking. Probably means you don't know about the TV show. I'm going to go with that translation. Final answer. All right, I'm going to move on to the noun adjective stuff. If you guys have questions or anything, if there are any current students in here who want me to go back, just let me know. The burning city. Hey, I remember that from the previous. So let's start with the noun, herbs, herbis, right? So nominative herbs, genitive herbis. It's going to autocorrect me. I got to be careful. The last worksheet I got autocorrected and I missed it. Herbi, third declension, right? Herbem, herbe, herbes, herb. I'm going to put the I in parentheses because sometimes you'll see it as herbum and sometimes you'll see it as herbium. So I'm going to put both options just in case. Cover my bases. Herbibus, herbes, and herbibus. Standard declension pattern there. And then again, to get to burning, starting with burn, you have to make that participle. This is one of the things I'm going to ask you to do on the quiz this week. You need to take ardeo, ardeira, and know how to turn it into ardanes, right? To make it the ing participle. Ardanes, ardentis. I have a feeling I'm going to get autocorrected at some point, but now I'm on the lookout. Ardanes, ardentis, ardenti, ardentem, ardenti, or a. It can be either one. And since we're just practicing, it's okay, whichever one you want to use. The plural here, ardentes, ardentium. That I is non-negotiable, always going to be there. Ardentium, ardentibus, ardentes, and ardentibus. I hope you guys, now that I'm hybrid and I'm at school on my laptop, I hope you miss the sound of my mechanical clacking keyboard. I miss it so much. By the way, those of you in the video right now who have no idea, like, I was bundled up. I could barely type. My fingers were so cold. It was 42 degrees in Mr. Brownell's room on the first day we came back. All right, and the broken stone. So let's start with our noun here. Calx. Calx. Calcus. Right, so another third declension noun. Always worth practicing. Calci. It is Kimberly. So they moved the kids out of his room. They made him stay there, but they moved the kids out. Calx, calcus, calci, calcum, calce. Calces. That's another one of those, like, could be an I, maybe there, maybe not. Calcium. Calcibus. Calces. And calcibus. Students or non-students, do we see any derivatives from that word calx meaning stone? Maybe some English words. Maybe a whole branch of math that we love so much, that we used to do with little rocks. I mean, I was okay. I mean, I won't lie. Yeah, calcium calculus, you know it. You know it. I wasn't happy about it, but what made it worse was knowing that there were kids in the room who were like, I'm so cold. That made it kind of sad. All right, the participle here is the broken stone, so I got to take the verb break. If you take the derivative of calx, you get calculus. And then if you integrate it, you get right back to calx. Calcite, absolutely. Calculus, like I said, was little stones. Obviously, calcite, I think, is also the word in Latin for chalk. So calcium, chalk is calcium carbonate. Is that chalk? All right, take it easy, Karina. I think chalk is calcium carbonate. I think that's the technical term. All right, so broke in, to get from break to broke in, that's the fourth PP. That's that perfect passive. So I got fractus, right? Calx, calcus, feminine. So I need fracta, right? I make it feminine to agree with the noun. And fracta is, oh baby, first declension. Let's go. Fracta, fracti, fracti, fractam. Oops, if I could spell. Fracta. And then fracti, fractarum, fractis, fractas, and fractis. Right? So a fracta calx or a calx fracta is a broken stone, a cracked stone, something like that. So we had two noun adjective pairs here. The first one, ing, burning. That's your ens entis. And then broken, which is like braked, essentially, is your fourth PP. So these are the two participles we should know by this point. And then we end here with a verb synopsis. So reviewing all of our verby goodness. Oh, I forgot to... Quick, I got to do some formatting. I like to find like weird verbs that I'm pretty sure students either have never seen or in all likelihood may never see. I just think it's more fun that way. I mean, we could do video and... Kimberly, that's only because you did not have me, the synopsis master. Johnny will pop in here and he can still do his synopses. I would have trained you up. All right, so this verb is frigo. I love. It's the verb to fry. So the present stem frig, we probably get like some good English sort of fricassee and things like that, which is kind of French, I guess. And then frictus, I won't tell him. I highly doubt he's watching. And then frictus is in Italian, it's frito. So anything that you've ever had, Fritos. I mean, even the word Fritos, they're little fried chips. Okay, so these are third singular and neuter. So for this verb, third conjugation, frigo, frigere, we get frigit and frigitur, frigebat and frigebatur. And then we can't use Bobby Boo, so friget and frigator. So I in the present, E in the future. And those are our first 6. Now you don't have to color code, but just remember. We talked about all the different stems that we're going to use. So the first 2 principal parts, right? We kind of make them green. This guy, freaksy, that's our perfect active third principal part. So we're going to make him, we're going to make him blue. And we're going to make these guys blue as well. Let's see if that worked. Haha. So that's going to be freaksit, freakserat, and freakserit. So those are made from the third principal part. And that leaves us with our last principal part here, our fourth principal part, which we use for perfect passive. So since these are singular and neuter, we're going to take freaktus, and we're going to change it to freaktum. Est, freaktum erat, and freaktum erit. So we got frigs in the top half, and then we got freaks and fricked. Those are our 3 stems that we're going to use. The imperative, which I imagine you're in a restaurant and you yell at somebody to fry something, just so you know, now you can do that. That's going to be frige and frigita. And those are both made from the... Oops, don't do that to me. Those are both made from the greens. Right? So it's still part of that frig system because they are present imperatives. And then finally we have our 2 participles. So our present active, right, that's going to be green. That is free gains, right? That's our singular form, free gains. I don't know why it's being weird right now. There we go. Free gains. And our perfect passive, which is going to use our 4th principal part, that is freakdom. And I just stole it from up here. I literally just copied and pasted it from up here without the est. Okay. So the top part of the synopsis, remember we thought about it in 4 quadrants. You have the top left, top right. Those are your first and second principal part. Bottom left, that's your third principal part. Bottom right, 4th principal part. Then the extra forms, right? Those are kind of all over the place. So if you need to review how to make the imperatives, that's just chopping off the RE to make the singular one and adding a TE to make it plural. But just be careful for third conjugation because of a little E. And then participles should be pretty fresh in your brain at this point. That's it for this worksheet, guys. Anything before we take off? I'm looking at about 28 minutes. Kind of nailed it. Sweet. All right, I'll be in Discord if you guys need me. If you're heading back to school, no one's heading back to school tomorrow, so I'll see everybody remotely tomorrow. And if you're heading back on Thursday, just check the weather. See how you need to dress. All right, guys. See you soon.